Hey, bruh. They call me the Martin Luther of schools. The way I be reforming them, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and then everyone laughs. If you got that reference, congrats to you. Uh, it probably was still funny. Bro, that was like in the script. I was writing the script at like probably 6 in the morning last Saturday. I just thought that would be funny to put in. I don't really know. Didn't really hit, but whatever. All jokes aside, I think we need to take a step back and think about who we are dumbing ourselves down to in the school system. School is striving to graduate everyone at the school because if your graduation rates are low and they aren't up to par, well, there's going to be issues, of course, right? So they want to graduate everyone. The issue with this is that if you take everyone, let's say like there's 2,000 kids in like an average high school. I would say 2,000 is reasonable. In like an average high school, 1,000, 2,000. If you take everyone, the difference between the kid who is locked in on everything, not just school, but in every aspect of life, compared to the kid who just doesn't care at all. Is just has all bad habits and no good ones to, I guess, compensate for them. That's a pretty broad spectrum. And school, I think, is meant, well, not meant. School right now wants to graduate future deadbeats, people who aren't really going to do much in their adult life. They just want to give kids a diploma and get out. I think what we need to do is make school standards high, not insanely high to the point where only the top 1% are graduating, but let's raise the stakes a little bit. Not only that, let's change the subjects that are being taught. Because I think if we made the graduation standards high and we taught the same topics in the same way we do, we just have a more indoctrinated society, which I guess unfortunately is something that probably would happen, right? Um, in the grand scheme of things. But I think basic education, math, science, literature, history, things along the lines of that, of course, they should be taught to everyone. I think, especially through middle school. I think in middle school, what we need to do is take that more seriously. In middle school, you graduate, you get through the eighth grade no matter what. We need to be more serious about that so that in high school, we can actually have kids branch out a little bit and say, hey, like this is the career path I'm thinking, or these are the 2 to 3 career paths I'm really thinking about. And then let's kind of specialize in those career paths for the next 4 years. And for the last couple of years of high school, let's really hone in on one. You can get people out in the workforce earlier. You can weed out the people who aren't really going to do much or contribute much to society. You can weed them out faster, and you don't need to deal with those people because they're just probably going to end up giving up. And that's sad, but there's people like that. There always has been. The issue is that now We do. We give them participation trophies and make them feel like they're doing something when in reality they are bare minimum people. I'm not saying they can never change, but there are some people who do never change and they're just always bare minimum people. If we take middle school more seriously and we say, yeah, you actually need to do good in middle school and we're going to teach higher education because I think you're capable of that middle school. I think you're capable, pretty much any kid, of doing like finishing algebra 1 in middle school. Bro, in ninth grade, algebra 1, I'm I'm good at algebra, not really at geometry. I'm good at algebra. And algebra 1 was light. Like an eighth grader could do that. I think any kid, as long as they put their nose down, could do that. So let's make middle school this period of time where we give them their general education about just the world, right? And I'm not saying we completely abandon that in high school, but let's put that on the back burner. Don't graduate people in middle school that don't deserve to graduate. And I think that once high school approaches, it should be treated more like a college, in terms of like kids should have a general sense of what they want to do later on in their lives. And the classes should, in my opinion, be catered towards that. Um, so let's say we get a kid, obviously some gen ed classes, general education, like literature, science, math, all that good stuff. That's great. Let's not make that the main focus, though. The teachers in gen ed should be more engaging and qualified. The teachers in general should be. I've talked about how the teachers are teachers because they failed in their field. If a teacher got a literature degree and wanted to become a writer or an editor or something like that, they failed in that field so they could go on and become a teacher. Not saying all of them. Some do specialize in history education. That is a different story. But I think a lot of them failed in their field, so now they're just teaching. And with that, we get people who aren't really fit for the job. We should get the people who have a honed in skill in this subject, who can teach the class with engaging topics, and they can just engage the class in general. And those are going to be the people in that field who are smart about it, who are really passionate about it, who have a zest for that topic. And then I think heading into freshman year, you ask a kid, what are the 3 things you would really like to do? Especially for men, in terms of like career, job. Like, what are the 3 things you would like to go into? Okay, well, I'd like to be a carpenter. That'd be cool. Software engineering, that sounds kind of fun, right? And then, oh, like, what about business too? Okay, right? Narrow it down year after year. So then, sophomore year, okay, like, would you still like to do carpenter, right? I don't know, kind of not a big fan. Like woodworking didn't really seem like it was for me. Okay, let's cut that off. Let's hone it down to 2 things. Okay, okay, after sophomore year. Now, for the last 2 years, let's just get it down to like one thing. And you can have the option to like switch out. Like, what's the one thing you like to hone in? Okay, business. I want to hone in on business. And you get entrepreneurs teaching the kids. It's hard to do. And I get it. Like, it's hard to do that in public education circles, which sucks. And this is a general idea. I'm not a genius when it comes to how to design a school, whatever, how to set up a public school. I don't know. This is just a general template, a skeleton to go off of. Let's get people highly educated who really have a passion for this topic, right? And trying to think, let's get the kids engaged. I think that's step one because now, okay, they want to do this. This is interesting to them. Obviously, there's going to be days where they just don't want to go to school, of course, but let's just make it interesting. This will create careers. This will better the workforce more than any employment program or employment deal has for America ever. Because we can get kids out into the workforce, at least as an apprentice or, something like that, when they're 18, 19, 20, instead of having to make them go through college, even though college makes money for them. So, of course, college is going to keep being promoted. This is somewhat of a pipe dream, but I hope this can happen. Now, I think this will also weed out the weak pretty fast for the kids who don't really have much ambition, and who aren't really going to contribute much. As terrible as that sounds, some guys, you know, are going to be left in the dust, and it's really their choice. It is, honestly. And you have free will. You have, you literally have the choice to just take action and delve into a career field or two or three and see which one fits best for you. But if you're not, if you're going to fail and be lazy about it, we don't want you here, dude. You don't get your diploma because we don't see you as a future valid contributor to society. That's what we need, dude. None of these participation trophies. We need to have men who want careers. This is going to just make the workforce much more efficient. This is the best solution, honestly, I think we can get. And this was off the dome at 6 a.m. last Saturday. Looking at it now, I can see how it would make a lot of sense. If we could do this, and obviously some stuff would need to be tweaked. If we could do this, though, we'd be winning. Now, that's in terms of the education aspect of school. We need to change the way school security operates. The rules, I think some of the rules, what time school starts, what time it ends. What do we put our focuses on? Is it sports? Um, or is it genuine education? Sports aren't bad, but nowadays it's gotten to an extreme. I could just be saying this salty as a salty, you know, kid who's not great at sports. I just like to lift heavy weights. I like to box too, but not great at like the school sports. Could just be saying that. I don't know. um, that could just be me projecting, if you will. But no, let's put our focuses somewhere else. School security. Let's stop caring about the mundane things kids kind of screw up on out like in the open, and let's go into the bathrooms. Let's take everyone's vape. Let's search everyone's backpack. If you have a vape or anything else like that, let's suspend you. Because that's the way it should be. That's the way I think like schools are run. That's like in the rule book or the guidelines or whatever. That doesn't happen. They don't want to fill out paperwork, so of course they're not going to do that, which is so stupid. It's so lazy, but it's a reality, and it sucks because we need to get those people out. Those people that are like infecting the school with toxins from their vapes and their weed, whatever it may be. It's so dumb. And there's old heads who will actually try and defend and be like, well, we had smoking areas back in, our day. And it's like, okay, cool. Like it doesn't change anything. It doesn't honestly change anything. I could really care less. Um, let's get the vape fiends out of here. Let's get the kids who are actually screwing around and always late to class and always just kind of being a nuisance and a genuine delinquent, not just a kid who has fun and trolls a little bit here and there, but doesn't disturb the class in any meaningful, significant way, doesn't harm others mentally or physically, and just likes to have fun around the school, whatever, like without actually affecting anyone. Those are the kids who get in trouble. I hear about it. The kids who get suspended for whatever, and you're just like, they're not suspending kids for vaping, but they're suspending kids for, I don't even know, doing like funny public interviews during lunchtime. I don't know. Whatever, and then, oh, it's hate speech, or I don't know. Whatever, like, BS excuse they have. That's what we're cracking down on. It's dumb. It's dumb. Let's change the way we operate um, school security. Let's allow kids to go to the bathroom whenever they want. Let's allow kids, I mean, like I said in the video prior, if you are a kid and you just go to the bathroom during class and like you come back 20 minutes later because you were screwing off, that's on you. And I really don't think that the school needs to monitor that and make the teachers be like, well, we should have the kids, only be able to go for 5 minutes. Dude, I can't like you know, to be blunt honest, I can't take a dump in 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, that's not gonna happen. And you get in trouble if you come back 7 minutes later because of whatever. The kids should obviously they shouldn't be able to like, vandalize the school or whatever in their bathroom time. But if they're just gonna roam the halls or just scroll or smoke or be stupid, and when they're going to the bathroom, that's on them. You're a young man, you're a young woman, you have the choice to do that. If you want to screw off and pretty much set yourself up for disaster later in life, that's on you. You know better. You can make every excuse in the world, but you know better. So, you know, we don't really care about those kids if they're going to make decisions like that. I think what we should do in general is just give kids, I don't want to say more free will, but just, yeah, more free will in general within school. It's going to teach them some life lessons the hard way. It's going to teach them hard work the hard way. It's also going to uplift the kids who have a high work ethic and bring them to a greater um, place and point and set them up for greater opportunities later in life, which is what we want. We want these high work ethic, efficient, meaningful, like contributing future contributing members of society. And those kids who have no work ethic, who are probably just going to end up leeching off one of their rich homeboys 10 years down the road, those kids fail in high school. And now they have kind of the choice. And it's going to open their eyes too. I think it's probably going to lead to more of these kind of deadbeat kids changing their lives, because it's going to be like, oh man, I didn't graduate high school. Crap, like I need to get my stuff together legit. And they graduate after actually working hard. And it's going to teach them that if you're lazy, you get nothing for it. This is what we need. We need more of this masculine, traditional way of thinking, which helps everyone. And for the people who don't want to help themselves, they lose, because that's on them. And the school, I think, in my opinion, the schools aren't really going to do all this, because they're no longer going to be able to hand out participation trophies to everyone. They know that if they get those kids with a crazy good work ethic and they start teaching them the right stuff and they start educating them on applicable stuff to real life, those are going to be the kids that win. And that's when the true great noticing is going to happen. And the great realization is going to happen. I don't want to say the government's screwed, but there's going to be issues, and they know that. So I can't say that all that's really going to happen. I think one thing we can do is shorten the school hours. Let's start school an hour or two later, and let's have it end probably an hour earlier, or at the same time. Let's have it go for about 5 hours, but 5 hours of high efficient schooling, not this like, 10, 50 minutes of passing time and a 45-minute lunch. Like, get to class, if you're late, that's on you. Like, you were screwing up, dude. You get 10 minutes to go to class, like, you're screwing off. Um, let's just be efficient at school, and let's get the kids in and out. It's going to create more real social interactions. And even though you may think it's the opposite, because they get less passing time to talk to their friends or whatever, well, you're going to get more time out of school to have a real social interaction where they go out downtown and it's not just shallow conversation for 2 minutes, walking around the little school, and just waiting to get to class. Like, it's real social connection with this less time in school, maybe a 4-day school week. And let's just be as efficient and hardworking and like putting your nose down as hard as possible in school. Outside of that, we don't got any homework. Outside of that, we don't got, we don't got 8-hour days. We don't have 5-day weeks. Let's make it efficient, intense, and brief and infrequent. Let's just get them out of there. That's what I want more of. That's what we need more of within schools. And I can, do a whole nother video diving deeper and deeper into this, but this is my general layout. And these are some ideas in mind for reforming the American public education system. So that's going to do it for this series. I hope you enjoyed this 3-part kind of, series on the school system. And I'm going to get back to more normal content. But this is something I had on my mind. This is something I've been interested in as of late. And I wanted to share this. I wanted to, share my thoughts and hopefully provide some insight to at least one viewer, and maybe change the way they think about something, in a more positive light. So that's going to do it, and God bless.